Hey brothers, welcome back to Mind of Man. Today, we are peeling back a curtain most men never even realize exists, the secret language of women. Here's the hard truth. The most important things a woman communicates to you are rarely spoken out loud. They live between the words, in the pauses, in the subtle shifts of her tone or the way she looks at you when she's hurt. Maybe you've been in that moment. She says she's fine, but something in her eyes tells you the opposite. Or she goes quiet after a disagreement, and you assume the storm has passed, only to discover days later she's been drifting further away. Too many men miss these signals, not because they don't care, but because no one ever taught us how to hear what isn't being said. The truth is, when a man learns to understand this silent language, everything changes. You stop feeling blindsided by her moods. You stop chasing explanations she doesn't want to give. You start connecting with her heart instead of just reacting to her words. And that connection doesn't just save relationships, it transforms them. So today, we are diving deep. By the end of this video, you'll know how to pick up on emotional subtext, read nonverbal cues, interpret silence without overreacting, recognize the things she'll rarely say out loud, and respond with the kind of emotional intelligence that makes her feel deeply seen. Let's start by decoding the first layer, understanding emotional subtext. 1. Understanding emotional subtext. Women's communication often operates on two levels: what's said and what's meant. The surface message might sound neutral or even dismissive, but beneath it lies an emotional world that can't always be neatly expressed. This isn't manipulation or games, it's a different emotional wiring. Imagine she says, "I just wish you'd help out more around the house." On the surface, it's about chores, but listen deeper, she might actually be saying, "I need to feel we're a team, that my efforts are seen and valued." The dishes in the sink aren't the issue. The issue is emotional partnership. Here's another example. You're out with friends, and she says, "Wow, you're really busy lately." The surface is an observation. Beneath it, she may be voicing a fear of emotional distance, a worry that she's slipping lower on your priority list. If you respond only to the words, "Yeah, work's been crazy," you miss the invitation to reassure her. "I know I've been caught up, but you're still my person. Let's plan some time for just us." Why does emotional subtext exist? For many women, expressing vulnerability feels risky. Society has conditioned them to fear being labeled needy or dramatic. Subtext allows her to share a need while gauging your emotional safety. It's like gently knocking on a door. Instead of barging in, she's seeing if you'll invite her feelings in. To understand subtext, slow down your listening. Don't just process the words, feel the emotion behind them. Ask yourself, what might she be afraid of? What reassurance might she be seeking? This doesn't mean overanalyzing every sentence but becoming attuned to patterns. If she often makes playful jabs about your phone use, maybe she's craving undistracted attention. The key isn't to interrogate her, "What do you really mean by that?" but to respond with emotional generosity. If she jokes, "Guess I'll just hang out with my plants since you're always on your phone," you could smile and say, "You're right, I've been distracted. Let's put our phones down tonight and just talk." That response acknowledges the subtext without making her defend her feelings. When you validate the feeling beneath her words, you show her she's safe to express herself honestly. Over time, the need for subtext diminishes because she knows you can handle her truth. 2. The power of nonverbal cues. Words are only a fraction of communication. Researchers estimate that more than half of emotional meaning is conveyed nonverbally through tone, body language, facial expressions, and timing. For women, who are often socialized to be more attuned to emotional nuance, these cues can carry even more weight. Consider tone. She might say it's fine in 3 different ways. Softly, with a downward inflection, she's genuinely okay. Flatly, without eye contact, she's suppressing disappointment. Or sharply, with clipped consonants, she's hurt or angry. If you take all 3 at face value, you'll misread the situation 2/3 of the time. Body language is equally revealing. Crossed arms, Averted eyes or a tightened jaw often signal discomfort or hurt. But so do smaller cues, a fleeting glance, a slight pullback when you touch her hand, a delay before answering a question. These microsignals tell you when something's off before words ever surface. Timing matters too. If she goes quiet after you've been teasing her, the silence may not be about the joke's content but about timing. Maybe she needed comfort instead of banter at that moment. To become fluent in these nonverbal cues, practice presence. When you're with her, put down distractions. Notice her breathing, her posture, her facial shifts. You're not searching for flaws, you're tuning into connection. Over time, you'll start recognizing patterns. The way her voice softens when she's vulnerable, or the way she fiddles with her necklace when she's anxious. Here's a powerful exercise. When you sense a shift in her energy, gently check in without accusation. You might say, "Hey, I feel like something changed. Are you okay?" The phrasing is crucial. You are sharing your observation, not assigning blame. This gives her the space to open up without feeling cornered. Nonverbal attunement doesn't just help you avoid misunderstandings, it builds trust. When she realizes you notice her quiet sighs or subtle hesitations, she feels deeply valued. It tells her, "I see you, even when you're not speaking." That's intimacy at its core. And here's the unexpected benefit. Mastering nonverbal cues isn't just about relationships with women. It sharpens your emotional intelligence across the board, with friends, colleagues, and family. When you can read what's unsaid, you navigate life with more empathy and wisdom. 3. What silence and distance often mean. Silence in a relationship can feel like a void, a heavy, uncomfortable space where words used to live. Many men panic when faced with it. They assume the worst, that she's lost interest, that the relationship is doomed, or that she's punishing them. But silence is rarely that simple or vindictive. More often, it's a signal, a form of communication as powerful as words. When a woman withdraws, it can mean several things. Sometimes, she's overwhelmed. Life's demands, emotional overload, or unresolved hurt can make her retreat to process her feelings. Her distance isn't necessarily about you. It's about finding her center. Other times, her quietness may be a protective measure. If she's been hurt before, by you or by someone else, silence becomes a shield to avoid further pain. There are also moments when silence is a test, but not in a manipulative sense. She's waiting to see if you notice. She wants to know whether her presence matters enough for you to lean in. Think of it this way. Silence is her way of saying, "Can you see me when I disappear a little?" The key is not to overreact. Don't bombard her with questions or accusations like, "Why are you ignoring me?" That approach creates defensiveness. Instead, offer a gentle invitation. "I've noticed you've been quieter lately. If you need space, I understand. Just know, I'm here when you're ready." This response communicates care without pressure. Equally important is to resist the urge to fix things immediately. Men are natural problem solvers, and our instinct is to solve her silence with quick answers. But what she often needs isn't a solution, it's understanding. Sometimes, simply sitting with her in quiet solidarity speaks volumes. Reading the context matters, too. Silence after a heated argument may signal she needs time to cool down, while withdrawal, after a happy evening could indicate something deeper brewing beneath the surface. Over time, you'll learn the unique rhythms of a silence, recognizing that distance isn't always rejection allows you to approach it with patience and empathy. When handled with care, these quiet seasons can become opportunities for deeper connection. 4. The things she'll rarely say out loud, but needs you to understand. Even the most open women carry unspoken truths, needs and fears they hesitate to voice. Understanding these silent truths can transform your connection. One of the biggest is the need to feel emotionally safe. She might not say, "I'm terrified you'll judge me if I'm vulnerable." But that fear can shape how much of her inner world she shares. Emotional safety isn't about agreeing with everything she says, it's about making her feel heard and respected, even in disagreement. Another unspoken need is reassurance of her worth. She may never explicitly ask, "Do you still find me beautiful? Do you still choose me?" But a gentle touch, a sincere compliment, or showing up consistently answers questions she doesn't verbalize. Women also crave to feel prioritized without having to demand it. She probably won't say, "I need you to cancel that plan to prove I matter," because she doesn't want love to feel transactional. But when you occasionally choose her over convenience or comfort, you send a message: she is valued without needing to fight for her place. There's also the deep desire to be truly understood, not just tolerated. She doesn't just want you to remember her favorite coffee order. She wants you to understand her dreams, her insecurities, her triggers, and her joys. And sometimes, she longs for emotional leadership, not control, but guidance. When you handle tough conversations with calm confidence, it gives her space to trust the relationship stability. Recognizing these unspoken needs doesn't mean sacrificing your identity or boundaries. It's about attunement, the willingness to see beyond what's said. By responding to what's unsaid, you create an environment where she doesn't have to beg for emotional connection. 5. How to respond with emotional intelligence. Recognizing unspoken cues is only half the equation. The real transformation happens in your response. Emotional intelligence isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up with curiosity, empathy, and steadiness. First, regulate your own emotions. If she pulls back or expresses disappointment, resist reacting defensively. Take a breath. Remind yourself, her feelings aren't an attack on your worth. When you stay grounded, you create a safe container for her vulnerability. Second, validate before you analyze. If she shares something painful, avoid jumping straight to solutions. Instead of "here's what you should do," try "that sounds really tough, I can see why you'd feel that way." Validation doesn't mean you agree. It means you respect her experience. Third, ask open-ended questions. If her words or body language hint at something deeper, invite her to share without pressure. "I feel like there's more on your mind. Do you want to talk about it?" This communicates care and gives her autonomy. Fourth, match words with consistent action. Telling her she's important is powerful, but backing it up, being on time, keeping promises, showing interest in her passions, cements that message. Women notice when actions align with words. Fifth, embrace patience. Emotional attunement isn't mastered overnight. You'll miss cues sometimes. You'll misunderstand. What matters is humility. "I may not always get it right, but I'm willing to learn." That humility is magnetic. It shows strength, not weakness. Finally, remember that emotional intelligence benefits you, too. When you become a man who listens deeply and responds thoughtfully, you're not just improving your relationships, you're becoming more grounded, confident, and capable in every area of life. Responding with emotional intelligence turns unspoken tension into trust, misunderstandings into closeness, and ordinary conversations into opportunities for intimacy. Let's bring everything together. When we began this conversation about the secret language of women, I asked you to imagine that what she says is only part of the story, that beneath her words, in her silences, and in her small gestures, there's a whole world waiting to be understood. Over the last sections, we explored emotional subtext, nonverbal cues, the meaning of silence, the things she rarely says out loud, and how to respond with emotional intelligence. All of this points to one simple but profound truth. The deepest connections are built not on perfect words, but on patient attention and genuine care. Think about the times in your own life when someone saw you without you having to explain yourself, when a friend noticed your pain before you said a word, or a mentor encouraged you without being asked. That's the power you hold for the women in your life. When you listen beyond the surface, you tell her, "You matter enough for me to really see you." This isn't about decoding women like puzzles or performing some trick to win them. It's about stepping into a higher version of yourself, a man grounded enough to listen, steady enough to hold space, and wise enough to lead with empathy. A man like that doesn't just attract love, he builds it, protects it, and elevates it. Remember, reading between the lines doesn't mean sacrificing your voice or walking on eggshells. Healthy relationships are mutual. As you develop emotional intelligence, you'll also become more confident expressing your needs. Strength and sensitivity aren't opposites, they're partners. And that's why earlier on Mind of Man, in The Silent Strength, How to Master Emotional Control Without Becoming a Robot, we talked about balancing emotional steadiness with authenticity. This video is a continuation of that journey. Emotional control isn't about shutting down, it's about tuning in without losing yourself. So, what should you do next? Start small. The next time she seems distant, don't panic, observe. The next time she shares something vulnerable, don't rush to fix it, validate it. The next time her actions and words don't seem to match, don't accuse, ask with curiosity. Over time, these small shifts build a relationship where she feels seen, valued, and safe. And here's a truth most men miss. Mastering the secret language of women doesn't just improve your romantic life. It will make you a better friend, brother, father, and leader. The skills you build here, listening deeply, observing without judgment, responding with wisdom, are the same skills that strengthen every bond you'll ever have. If this message resonated with you, chances are there's another man out there who needs to hear it too. Don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with a brother, a friend, or even on your socials. You never know whose relationship or self-worth you might save. And if you're serious about becoming the kind of man who can navigate emotions without losing his strength, go watch The Silent Strength, How to Master Emotional Control Without Becoming a Robot. It's the perfect companion to what you've learned here. It will show you how emotional control and emotional intelligence work hand in hand. Before you go, don't forget to like this video if it gave you a new perspective. Comment below with the unspoken cues you've learned to notice. And subscribe to Mind of Man for more content that sharpens your emotional awareness and strengthens your relationships. And most importantly, hit that notification bell so you never miss another lesson that could transform your love life and your life as a man. You are capable of more than just hearing words. You're capable of understanding hearts. Stay strong, stay attentive, and stay true to yourself. See you in the next video.